think that the advantages are they are relatively safe. I mean, if you look at the safety record of the whole industry and match that with the fossil fuel industry in terms of injuries to people, deaths, damage to the environment and so on, nuclear is much safer.
And I've seen youngsters down through the years who would have been excellent at both codes, but only ended up playing one code because of the GA, and it was always if they went back with the soccer, they had to make a decision for it, and that's kids from ages from 11 upwards, you know. So
Maggie, she wants to know where Ian Turner's gone.
It's funny enough, we contacted Ian yesterday through Feck TV, and Ian said he's not allowed to comment at the minute, so we'll try to get back on that again next week. I think there's a problem with the Cork City players coming on, so hopefully that can be resolved in the future.
Let me tell you now about this 24-year-old. He's done more riding than most 24-year-olds that you'll ever see. But it's a different type of riding. Stuart Edmonds, motocross guru of Ireland.
The major things probably is setting on my goals when I was younger. I've basically wanted to ride for my country. I wanted to win an Irish Championship, and I've done that numerous amount of times in the youths, and I've done it in 2009. I won the MX1 and the MX2 Irish Championship, so that was really a good goal that I wanted to fulfil. And then my next step was to become professional, and just on 2009 I actually was asked to ride for the country to represent for Ireland, so that was a big thing for me. I loved it, and I went on from there, and the next year I came round I moved to England for 2 years and raced professionally motocross, and I've been going on that's ever since then, 2010. So this year I've been back home doing bits and pieces and riding with Taiko Suzuki, and they gave me a really good deal, and I've been living back up the north near them, so they've been really helpful to me all year, and pushed me all season long. And now next year I've got a new team with Maxus Pico Suzuki with Rob Hooper. He was past GP rider back in 77, 87s, around those days, so he was a GP star before I was even born, so he's got a lot of knowledge on the motocross scene, so it's really good to be with him as well.
I'm Shane Ormond. Welcome to Feck Tech, the unofficial spin-off to...
Fuck! Love Hate, man. It's a really popular show. Coming up on tonight's show, TV3 are to air a special Doomsday documentary. They've called it California.
And a small Caribbean island has claimed to be the original Ireland.
And finally, a new social network for cats has been launched. It's called The Pussy Magnet.
If you have some spare change knocking about, you can go to the moon for summer of 2020.
Good, because there's a gap in my calendar right now for 2020.
Yeah, I hear space is lovely that time of year. Just vacant. It's $800 million to go, which is going to limit the amount of people that can do that. Which I was thinking, if you were going up and you won a competition, so say you won this competition, you were going to go into space.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Would you go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $800 billion. But then you get like sat next to Tom Cruise, and he's like trying to sell you pyramid shares, like for the whole trip, and it would be awful just spending 2 days on a plane with Tom Cruise.
The point of that someone would set an amount of time, such as an hour, which is the default.
Yeah. Is it a free app or?
Yeah, it's free. There's not even a cool graphic.
Yeah. Is there many downloads?
There's not an awful lot. As in, I think it's less than 1,000.
Do you want to just go out on the cricket sound?
There's one particular song, for example, Friends Die But Words Don't. It's about Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal of Catwoman.
Oh,
Batman
Returns. Brilliant. Yeah. I actually have that written down because I wrote it's the standout track out of the three.
Oh.
Yes, there you go. I'm a big Tim Burton fan, big Batman fan.
I'm a big Michelle Pfeiffer fan.
Even more than anything else. Fan of women in leather, like, woman. Yeah. Your ideal woman.
Yeah, that's actually what we agreed on before the band started. It's just the main motto is that.
Who's going to have Michelle Pfeiffer if we get famous?
I think it's agreed that.
When we get famous.
Well, I thought you meant when we have Michelle Pfeiffer.
Don't mind about the fame bit. As long as we get Michelle, I'm happy, you know?
If all else fails, we could kidnap her.
the name of your biography, In It for the Pfeiffer, yeah. And completely fucking obsessed with Batman, right? Batman Begins, fantastic, yeah, a little flawed, but fantastic. The Dark Knight, what do you think?
Masterpiece.
Couldn't argue with that, right?
It should have been 2 films.
That's exactly what I said. It should have been 2 films, and this is they were so they wanted to tie off. They were basically Christopher Nolan, the director, was so adamant on having it be a trilogy that I thought that was his downfall. It's like he said, "Don't hold anything back." That's what he said to his brother who wrote the screenplay. He said, "Don't hold anything back. Let's put it all in this one movie." And essentially, they got 4 of the best Batman comics shoved into one movie. Literally, like the editing. What could you do with it? Like it was all over the place, wasn't it?
It
Just
was.
you get a little bit tired.
Yeah.
You know? You think, okay, they caught him. They caught the Joker. You're thinking, okay, this is the time when you end the film. And then all the rest of the stuff happens, or even just after the whole
They
thing
needed
blows up.
some conclusion to his story, though, Batman. Because
Yeah.
he couldn't be just like ended on the Dark Knight. You needed some kind of.
Oh no, but then it goes
definitely.
to the next movie.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you
Split the
were
second one into split the second one into 2 separate films.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Oh
That's what I'm
no,
saying.
Dark Knight was good. That was good.
I
The
think
Dark-
it was just no. It's 2
Have you
films.
seen The Dark Knight Rises? Because there's a film that
Of course
beckons
I
2
have.
movies.
Yes,
anyway.
that beckons 2 movies
I
as
just
well.
think
I think it could have been
was
5
pointless. And then in the ending scene of him going out trying to.
Spoiler.
I'm sure everyone has seen it by now. So.
And if you
Well,
haven't,
if you're watching the review for it, you know, surely.
Everybody wants to do something, and just make sure it's what you viscerally want to do as opposed to you intellectually want to do. And don't try to impress. Like if you just because you like reading Stephen King doesn't mean you actually like writing like Stephen King.
In other words, get a life, Paolo.
A lot of writers as well. So many of them became famous after they died. So I mean, it's got to be something that you love. You know what I mean? It can't be just something that you think this is what I want to do for a career. You know? Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah, the arts are not a stable way to make a living. So do them because you need to, not because you think it's a sensible choice, because that's accounting.
Exactly.
He stole her from a husband and children, like.
Would have, I suppose.
Well then, my advice is you need to give up your current life, join a fucking monastery or a charity or something, and devote the rest of your life to paying back life for the family you just tore apart, you absolute asshole.
And you can catch Breed on the motivational circuit tomorrow night in Dundalk, the night after in Dublin, and she'll be back here in court for this coming weekend.
This is literally what's wrong with the world. How can he possibly live with himself? He should be ashamed of himself. He is what's wrong with the world. He's a scumbag and he does not deserve to be happy.
You have no idea what the woman's situation is with her
She's
family.
a tramp!
She might be estranged from her husband. He might treat her badly. They might be living separate lives already. We don't know.
She was sending him gifts.
And any experience, no matter how tough it was, if you learn from it, then it was worth it, because next time around you will make a smarter choice.
Do you know what was worth it? Fucking belting his arse out the door. That's what was worth it.
Do you feel bad about it now?
Oh no, I feel fantastic.
Okay.
I feel really good about the stuff I stole from him and the stuff I broke from him after.
So you got over it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said stolen. But I did well. I did well out of that relationship in the end, and that's what I feel good about. Revenge, retribution.
Wow.
That's what a girl wants.
How did he die? Well, one theory was that he was poisoned either by Johannes Kepler, who stole his research afterwards, or on the order of the King of Denmark because Tycho was sleeping with his mother. The accepted theory now is, though, that he died of a burst bladder because he wouldn't break the seal at a party.
I actually agree with your point about paying tax in general. I mean, it has to be done just to maintain the country, just to maintain services. But this is ridiculous. This is not a tax. If there's any way not to pay it, then it should not be paid, because we're coming to a level where we can't actually do any more.
Jay, I think that people are just going to have to reassess where they're spending their money. All those people that at the end of the week saying, I only have €40 left. I bet they'd have 60 or 70 if they didn't spend all that money on fags. I bet they have Sky Sports. I bet they have loads of unnecessary things in their lives which they don't need. I have very little sympathy for somebody
But
saying
Breed,
they've no
you're
money
not
at the end
actually
of the week.
addressing the point that I made about people leaving the country, that people will leave. These are the kind of things that drive people out.
As I said, yes, one of my colleagues, Hilary Lennox, she has some articles out recently looking at the junk science on how people have been convicted wrongly, where one of them is the shaken baby syndrome, but also if you look at the case of Todd Willingham, this guy 20 years ago was convicted of killing his 3 children by arson, and all the science subsequent shows that what the scientists and what the forensic experts now look at, it's they use different methods to determine how the fire would have started and how it would have spread, and whether it was whether it was malicious, like whether it was arson. And he's since been that he's since, all the evidence has since been proven null and void, but the man has been executed. This is the problem. Like, the system, our state, we have to place a greater onus on them. If we have, I know it's a bit of a chicken egg. You can't say, oh, because there's the death penalty, there's more murders. But there's a great link there where you see constantly that in 2008, the 20 states, the highest murder rate, all of them have the death penalty. If you look at Canada, they abolished the death penalty, and the murder rates dropped by 27%. New Jersey, they had a moratorium in 2009. The murder rate dropped after they had the moratorium. So I think, whilst you can't say it is the cause of the murders, there's definitely a link, 100%.